evening. Well, I'm still surprised that it remembers your position so accurately, instead of just placing you back at the door. Right, so... the last time I played the game for about an hour and a half, died, realized that hard mode doesn't have any sort of autosaves, switched back to normal and played for another few hours, made it to about the halfway point of the game, I believe. Here we are. What was my goal? Don't know. We'll find out. I need to disable my keyboard light, it's reflecting off the screen. This, I believe, is not a path. Okay. Who chose to put the ladder here? Or who chose to put the pipe here? I feel like some architect didn't really think this through. Oh, I do have a glass jar, so I can't take this. Also, maybe not the safest place for an oil drainage. Conceptually, Fine Puzzle raises some questions about the design of this place.
I figured I add a little something about the commentary, why it is in the game and how we did it. As you probably have noticed by now, the quality of the recordings are a bit different. We tried our best, but as we do not have an office, everyone had to care for their own voice recording and make do with the equipment that they have. For me as a sound artist and for Mikko and Tapio, this was not really much of a problem. We all got our sound gear to rely on. But for the rest, they really had to work to make the best out of their chat microphones. They even got a checklist of things to do, such as put a sock on the microphone and what angle towards the microphone to speak at. The reason as to why we did the commentary to begin with was that when we were working on Amnesia, we started taking pre-orders of the game, and we put up a meter on the website saying that if we got 2,000 pre-orders, we would add a commentary to the game. I suppose you know the answer to the question if we met that goal or not.
Alright. What is that? Repair the machine powering the eastern bridge. Don't know which is eastern, but fair enough.
Herbert, how did we find this place?
An old friend back in Algiers gave me a map.
Why isn't he with us? Didn't he want to come?
He wanted to, Daniel, but things don't always turn out the way we planned.
This level consists of 3 parts of a puzzle. For each part you complete, you get 1 step closer to getting the machinery running. It does not matter which order you do it in, so you can complete the level as you like. When I scripted this level, I made a basic function for completing a puzzle. Then I added some specific tweaks to each puzzle to make them unique, and then finally a grand version of a complete puzzle function to make it really noticeable when you finish all 3 of them. I got surprised when several testers said that it was not clear as to when they completed the whole level. That on the first puzzle it was really nice, but that on the second and third puzzle they did not really notice that they had accomplished something successfully. As I was about to start working on this, I noticed something really strange. I had, for testing purposes, made it so that when completing the first puzzle you would get the grand puzzle completion function, which meant that the first puzzle had a big bang of events, while the other 2 would only have the minor small puzzle completion events. It had been like this since I finished the level, so no one had never experienced the actual sequence of events meant to take place. This type of bugs are pretty nice to fix, because you only fix your own stupid mistake, and then all is done.
Huh, that's a bit odd to have something like that get that far into testing, I think. Like, sure, I don't know how you work on a full level like this, but typically, like, when I've done software stuff, as I do it, I typically test my stuff before I let anybody else test it. So if something that clear happens, I think it should be caught before any actual testers get to it. But hey, different workflows. Okay, don't know what I want to be doing here. Probably a note somewhere. Ah. Or there's this. Low, mid, high. Excellent. Now, is there a puzzle in here? Does not look like it. There is this though, which is clearly important for something. Are we good? Done this puzzle before in Penumbra. We good. Yeah, overall I think the pacing of this game is really good. Oh, I was probably supposed to use this. You know, the chair is nice. Yeah, going between scary moments and safe moments handled nicely. And going between puzzles and exploration. And just hub areas and linear sections. Like it all flows really nicely. Right, I assume there's also a clue on the other side of this hallway. Door is. As well as a pipe. So, down, up, up, down. Probably solved.
Daniel? Is that you? What are you doing?
Ah, and have this. How many do we need? Hard to say for sure. At least 3. So, what are we accomplishing? Where's the shorter one? Wait, I brought them all here, right? Oh, there. There we go. One right in the middle. That's not right in the middle. Okay, I guess I can't place it any other way. That'll do. And now this should work. Should work. You know what? What is on this side? Cistern. Yeah, Ow. I'm fine. I think I want to do morgue first, because I know it's on the other side. Or at least I think it's on the other side. Fine, I'll heal up. Can't quite reach that. Yeah, I've already used both levers, but it gets stuck halfway through and needs a push. Where these rocks are here. I think I... Never mind.
Do you see, Daniel? It has yielded.
What?
The shadow.
It has?
For now. Come, let's get this out of here so we can get some peace.
Yes, let's. Where to?
Just down the corridor to the morgue.
Are there more dead men there?
You did well, Daniel. Come, let's get going.
Nice.
The flashback of the guy trapped is actually inspired by true events.
What? What happened? Why are all these dead? Where am I? What's happening? Help! Anybody! Help!
Right.
The flashback of the guy trapped is actually inspired by true events. During the bubonic plague outbreaks, people were...
3 days now.
Dude!
This is ridiculous. Why doesn't someone into this room? Hey! Anybody? Am I all alone here? Help! Help! I'm so tired. If I sleep, will I wake from this nightmare? If not, I pray my Heavenly Father will take me in my sleep.
Any more? Okay, can I now listen to this?
The flashback of the guy trapped is actually inspired by true events. During the bubonic plague outbreaks, people were buried so quickly that it was not always checked that they were probably dead. This meant that people sometimes woke up, finding themselves locked up, entombed, surrounded by corpses. Scratches on doors and walls of such rooms have been found, confirming that it did happen.
How pleasant. And yeah, it's interesting coming back to this because I kind of recall this being okay. Like, I remember this being worse than the Penumbra games. Like, still really good, but not as good as Overture and Black Plague combined. But I think I'm changing my mind. So far, I'm very positively surprised by how good everything about this is.
Alexander along with Daniel makes up the foundation for the entire story. Together they make the core conflict. There was a lot of background for this character as he is in a sense the villain, so I wanted to do everything that I could to make him likable and have people sympathize with him. It's just the best way to make a bad guy. If we can have the player feel for their opponent, they might start questioning their own actions. Alexander's story is quite interesting in its own right, but in the end it was important to have the story deal with the relationship between Daniel and Alexander. That's why there is so much about the last few weeks and so little about the history of Alexander. Because after all, since we're playing Daniel and he seemed to want to get back at Alexander, we the player want to know how bad it really was and decide for ourselves if we think he should be punished.
I think part of the reason why I kinda had a feeling that this wasn't as good as it is was because in the recent years, or well, the last 10 years, and 15 even, ever since this, seems like there have been so many horror games trying to emulate this, and none of them seem at all interesting. I haven't played a lot of them, but I watch people play them, and I am not seeing much in terms of appeal. And I guess they all kinda copied. I mean,
I hear you breathing, Daniel.
yes.
Do you hear me? Have you changed your mind?
Yeah, all those games kinda copied Amnesia, but to a lesser degree. And I think I have kinda forgotten the lesser degree part and just lumped all of them together in my head. Unrightfully so. I fear for Daniel, for he is reckless. He's tainted by the approaching shadow and will not be able to pass the gate. Will he be able to accept this in the end? My love, I've seen evil in him. How am I to trust him with the truth? What cruel irony that I have to do unto him what Agrippa did unto me. Vaccine trials. Vaccine enabling my men to work in the fungi-ridden sewer is a definite success. Unfortunately, only a few of the servants have been remedied as the procedure proved difficult. The others will perish, and eventually I will have to create more of them to keep my experiments running. Note that an injection of vaccinated blood will work as a shield long enough to pass the sewers without any risk of infection. Will do fine for prisoner transport. Okay, well I'm heading there, so I'm gonna need a vaccine. Hello, gentlemen.
As with the cistern, this takes the player closer to Daniel's dark past. It was important here that the corpses did not have the normal gory shock value, but was more true to reality and disturbing. We really wanted to approach this stuff with respect and not just show it in an exploitative fashion. I hope that shows when you play the game.
Plague outbreak. The strange deaths among the servants and the prisoners have finally been resolved. It seems that the drain sewer, which has recently been opened up for use as a means of transport, is plagued by a peculiar poisonous fungi. The victims seem to have suffered an extremely quick outbreak of sickness affecting the entire body. Some of my men, including myself, are relatively spared by this calamity, but it is clear that this cripples my progress. The prisoners die quickly, and their contaminated vitae lacks the energy I seek. I shall immediately start working on a vaccine. Ah, pleasant. Also, pleasant. Extremely pleasant. I think what I actually need is in here. Copper tube. At least parts of what I need is in here. Maybe it's just a copper tube. I thought this would have a bigger impact on my sanity just chilling in here.
Just like Regent's Park.
What was that? I lost the ability to run and the screen went dark. seem to recall that an enemy is about to come in here, and I want to hide in one of these rooms. I want to find a good hiding place before I do anything else. This corner is probably it. Or this corner seems better. Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, I had a feeling I was missing something, because I remember that you combine the hollow needle and the copper tube. But this is not enough to get the blood. Actually, is it? It is. And now when I start moving, there's gonna be a loud noise and an enemy is gonna show up. Yep. That's what I figured. Now, I haven't been to the cistern. That hollow needle is from much earlier on in the game. Yeah. This area is for the vaccine, the cistern is for draining the sewers. And the sewers is the main objective of this area. Ooh, sanity is dropping, effects are kicking in. Probably best I don't look at the corpses. The enemy is probably gone by now. Or if he is here, I'm making a run for it. Sanity is... oh. Still down the drain. It's by solving a puzzle, getting a vaccine.
This map is all about themes, and the action the player does are meant to reflect what happens in the diary entries. The player needs to turn the valves in order to progress, but at the same time, things go bad every time this is done. The level gets darker, the sound of someone being trapped gets louder, and the water lurker seems to be coming closer. Everything tells the player not to turn the valves, yet it must be done. Something that reflects how Daniel feels in the diaries.
Is there actually a water lurker in this level? I kinda had that...
You're conserving water from the spring.
Yes, it enables me to control the water in the drain sewers to some extent. Also, it can be used for all sorts of purposes.
Like the drinking.
Well, that too. But mostly to run different machines.
Ah, like water mills.
Exactly.
Right. But I was kind of under the impression that the water lurker in here is not real. And the whole area being covered with water like this is more or less the game playing tricks on you. They have established previously that, oh, there is a monster in the water. And here you're just by default scared of going into water. Even if there is nothing in there. But hey, maybe there is. That definitely implied it. This is developer commentary. Hello, new word. Yeah, nothing as of yet.
Shimmering.
Very scary platforming. Never shows up to attack you. Yeah, that's kind of the impression I had. That this is one of those areas that seems dangerous, but is actually completely safe. Yeah, right there. You know what? Are you here? Doesn't seem like it. Although that probably wasn't the monster anyway, that was just like falling rubble or something. Direct sewer water.
7th of August, 1839. There is no denying that Alexander puts a lot of faith into what I can only describe as magic. I'm not surprised. Even while traveling across Europe, I assumed I would have to embrace the supernatural to save my mind and life. As a novice, I do everything in my power to stay focused and not dwell too much on my own doubts. Alexander woke me up early and told me it was time we got started on our work. He was obviously excited to get going, and we headed downstairs to the old dungeon where he preferred to attempt his rituals. It turns out that Alexander is a true Renaissance man, paralleled only by Da Vinci, I'm sure. He showed me several rooms fitted for specific research, such as anatomy studies, alchemy, and botany. The crown of Brennenburg must be the inner sanctum, a most hallowed ground where we shall attempt to permanently banish the orb's shadow.
How did this note end up here? Very small nitpick, but it must be addressed.
The inspiration for this level came from me visiting the Basilica Cistern in Istanbul. Fun thing was that Jonas, the concept artist who drew the design, had also visited it the same summer, so he knew precisely what I was after. The fishes that can be found were also inspired by the real thing.
Yeah, and it forces you to go into the water at least a bit. How's that a fish? already see what this is about.
August 1839. I could never be certain until today that I was on the right path. Using my orb, Alexander managed to channel its power unto us. The inner sanctum flared with blue, fiery light, and I could feel the same things I felt in the dark chamber in Algeria. It was like standing in a mad whirlpool of impressions. It was terrifying. But Alexander kept calm and wielded strange tools of science in order to tame the storm. Suddenly, the blue light was stained by strains of red, and the walls burst with pulsating tissue resonating with the scene. Alexander quickly covered the orb in some cloth, and the unspeakable thing vanished. Apparently, the orb's shadow is closer than Alexander thought. He said I should prepare for a warding ritual tomorrow. I'm not sure what he expects, but I have a bad feeling about this.
Still no actual signs of the water monster. No, that's the sound of a monster. But I don't think it was actually here. Good fake outs. Direct sewer order. Then what is this one? Why do we have 4 of these? These 2 are right next to each other. This one doesn't... Oh, this is probably just for the gas. They're going to have to deal with that on the way back. Yeah. My sanity. Fine. Grabbed in this chamber. Could it be? Do I have anything I can throw at it? Don't think so. Don't want to jump there myself. There's nothing to throw. Yeah, I don't think it's trapped in there because the sound was coming from over there, so having it trapped in here would be kind of redundant if they're doing it like fake monster anyway.
9th of August, 1839. It is still early, and Alexander is busy preparing for the ritual later today. Seeing him this worked up makes me question why. What does he stand to gain? I realize he is curious about it all, but surely there must be more. Is he so foolish he will attempt to tame the power of the orb? I must admit that yesterday, when Alexander flooded the inner sanctum with blue light, I realized we had but graced the orb's true potential. This might turn out to be more than escaping a creeping shadow. It might be the beginning of something truly extraordinary.
And achievement unlocked. Not gonna lie, I was fully expecting that that bridge to collapse under me. Again, you can definitely hear. There you go. Oh shit. Oh shit. Whoops. Okay, I guess it's a fake out up until that point. Now it might actually be there. Yeah. Yeah, it probably only spawns at this point. As in, the way the game implies this is it's always there. But it's only there in reality only at the end. And everything else is a fake out. And that's fine. I think it's pretty effective. Worst area? Think so? I don't remember much about this. I know there's you have to do some distraction thingies with the brute, but I can't remember much else about this. And I think there's a fake out with the brute, or just run straight at you.
Somehow, every adventurer finds himself in a sewer at some point in his life, and Daniel is no different. Usually these levels tend to be a bit dull, but this one turned out rather okay. It's quite a step up from the last sewer level I did in Penumbra Requiem. It was supposed to be a blue tinted level, with a feeling of being cold and damp, but it stood out too much to really fit in with the other levels. We settled for a green tint on the brown dungeon set, as it worked nicely as a transition between the Cistern's green stones and the brown torture nave level.
Yes, this is certainly an improvement over the Penumbra Requiem sewer. I won't argue that. Yeah, like this thing. You are not real! You are not real! You are not real! Yeah, there we go. I'm sorry, Frictional, for kinda ruining your event right there. But I mean, there's only so many ways you can really introduce a monster like that, and this is a very similar introduction, I think, as the original introduction of the Grunt back at Wine Cellar, where you just see it from a distance and nothing about it, and it walks away and you never see it again. It's hard to do any other kind of non-interactive introduction to something like this, other than seeing it from a distance. At least I can't think of anything good.
What's happening? What are you doing? Let me go! Please, don't take me! Nobody ever returns!
This here was my first job at scripting a puzzle. I must say that I like working on scripts, but that's probably because I love anything that looks or feels like programming. Scripting puzzles does not involve just writing a plain script. You also get to edit entities, create particle systems, set up stuff like areas and entities in the level to support the script. It is actually a lot of fun, and it allows for quite a bit of creativity. This particular puzzle is about having to jam a can of water mill to be able to get through it. But it first needs to be slowed down somehow.
I don't remember this sewer level pretty much at all, so we'll see how it works out. No, it's not it. I know there's a brute in the sewers, but I don't know if it's this map of the sewers. Let's see. Okay, that's that much oil.
This is the machinery that controls the mill rotation speed. There is not much to say about this part. Just a couple levers that change some values when moved, and do stuff when the right value is set. As you might already know, playing around with the combination of both levers, you can notice a background sound changing. At the time of working on this, there was no proper sound available for these background sounds, so I just picked some placeholders from what was in there already. I thought that creaky sound that is heard when the elevator falls down would do a nice one for the medium speed. How wrong I was. It was unbearable to say the least, so I just ended up removing all placeholders and leaving a to-do note in the script.
One thing that's kinda interesting about this commentary is just what did the devs think was interesting enough to comment on? That's at least to me, like this particular thing sounded rather mundane. It's like yes, I would assume that these two levers control a couple of values. Makes sense. I wouldn't expect them to actually physically alter anything in the level. Maybe that's not obvious to everyone. It just it did not disappear. It is in fact heading this way. I don't feel hidden. I did not remember an enemy patrolling this area. That's it, I don't know if it's still here. Or just gone. Why is this here? I mean, thanks, I guess.
This pipe you see here can be broken to be used later to join the mill. It is actually a model with two bodies joined by a hinge joint. To do this part of the puzzle, I first made it so you could break the joint at some point when pulling, but this just felt really strange. So I just asked James how we were doing this kind of stuff in the game, and he told me to just add some area that counted hits in the script. So every time the pipe collided with this area, certain variable was increased by 1. If you enable the debug window, you can see this area with activating the draw physics debug option. When this variable reached a given value, it triggers the breakage of the pipe, spawning the broken pipe item, and that's how it works.
Oh, so that sort of thing is common practice with this engine. Just when you want something to break, just have a damage be dealt to it. It's kind of interesting because in Penumbra Overture there is a puzzle where you have to make explosives to destroy a blockade. But in a speedrun you can just skip all that by attacking the rubble with a pickaxe 20 times. So, same principle, I guess. And I had a feeling that I was supposed to set both of those settings to minimum, but I didn't. Because I thought I would get some sort of hint and maybe there was something more complex about it that I had forgotten. But now that I'm looking at it again, that's definitely what I need to do. And I get the feeling that the monster has despawned for now. And we'll meet him later. I have it right already? Do I? Oh, you're supposed to tell by the sound when it's correct, and now it's like at the most quietest setting possible. Yeah. Yeah, okay. Was a bit more clever than I remembered. And also explains more about the commentary, talking about the audio. Also explains why the enemies spawned right there. Take off it. One of the board gates appears to be weaker than the rest. Would I have noticed this if I hadn't played this game before? Was this apparent? Like, I can't tell. It's like, I know you have to wiggle bars like this at one point in the game, and I think you probably do something like that in Penumbra as well. But would this be obvious? Someone who's playing for the first time? I guess so, considering how well deep this game is. Oh yeah, this room.
Daniel, turn around this instant. You are carrying the shadow with you.
Come on. I think we're gonna get an attack here. Or not?
When I was looking at the concept art of Brute Monster, I thought that it should sound like one long tone, which is coming from the tube. Because it doesn't have mouth, it should sound like hollow thing which can't make clear and complex vocalization. Firstly, I recorded lots of different kind of dogs and I edited them to play as one tone. I had lots of discussion with Jens and I think I got the right idea, but there was feeling that it was coming too close and it wasn't scary and blah blah blah. So it wasn't really scary. It was just big mess. I I think I made something like 5 or 6 different versions, but problems didn't go away. Finally, I just removed the dog sounds and used my own voice. I made it with old metal sync, speaking through the tube and putting the microphone in front of the sync. And that way I got more control on the vocalization and tube kind of sound was natural because it was coming from actual tube. I think Brute's movements were the easiest ones for me. I knew from the beginning how I wanted it sound. I wanted it to be very metallic, since it has lots of metallic things in its body, and it should be very heavy, scary guy. I was a little bit worried about how the high-pitched screeching would work, but it actually turned out great with the music, because the music is very low frequency and movement is high frequency, so there is nice spectre of sound. Together they make Brute even scarier.
How is being a Foley artist not the best job in the world? But yeah, this wonderful room. Like, oh, these guys that were scary before. They're not doing too hot. Do I have... I got a crank. I forgot where the crank even came from. I still have the hammer and chipper. Ah. Gentlemen, I'll be in my corner. Oh yeah. I am not here. That's a nice sequence, not just because of him breaking through and you getting your first... Well, not technically not the first good look at it, but... one of the bigger encounters, perhaps, up until this point with him. And all you have to hide in is this tiny corner. Makes it a bit more intense. And if that wasn't obvious before, it didn't matter. Move. Hey, Zilkus. So, very effective use of fog in this area, must be said, because earlier on there was the first time I had a real encounter with the enemy. I could not see him properly through the fog. So now I'm kind of paranoid about the fog. In case I just can't see him while he's there. Oh, hello. Oh shit! I thought he didn't hear that at first, so I stuck around and threw another one. See ya. I'll be on my way. Yeah, I'll absolutely be on my way. Why are all these doors opening in the wrong direction? Fuck you, Frictional. What a fucking bait at the end. Whenever there's been a chase sequence up until this point, the door has opened towards you to make it more awkward to open. And the second door in that hallway opened away from you, so of course I pulled in the wrong direction first. Bait it.
After almost 2 years of continuous development of the editors, this was my very baptism of fire in level creation. My first big level edited ever, that is. Making the base for this level was my assignment for week 8 this year, and I must confess, I was pretty excited about it all. You know, not ever having used the editors in a real life run, I was wondering how well I was going to do.
August 1839. I can't stop sweating and shaking. The warding ritual was not something of a sane mind. I did not even realize the dungeon was still in use. Alexander had his servants bring one of the prisoners, a murderer, he told me. Alexander made all the arrangements, but he said I had to perform the ritual in order to have the right effect. The shadow could be led astray by the blood of another. Killing the man would provide us precious time. What else could I do? Alexander said it had to be done. He is saving my life. I don't have the luxury of argument.
Bunch of levers. Don't know what for. I was fully expecting a noise to come from behind there. Okay, tinderboxes have stopped being any sort of issue. The last couple of areas have been reasonably lit.
A good thing about me using the tools I am dedicated to develop is that I could get a close view on how they feel when working with them. And it's easier and quicker to get bugs fixed when working like this, as they usually get in the middle of the way and the only solution is just getting your hands dirty and fix them. This also works well for small features that don't take much time to add. I'm not sure which one I added from working on this level, but it usually starts like thinking, oh, being able to do this or that will be really nice, and ends up with the feature in the editor. Not everything works like this, you know. I actually have an endless list of stuff to add to the editors, but there is always so little time. They will come eventually, that's for sure, or maybe not.
Anything of interest? Nothing under the stairs. Hey, Daniel.
Agrippa, I need you to stay awake. Can you feel the syringe?
No, I can't feel anything. Alexander,
Yes.
soon I won't even be able to move, will I?
Your life is safe.
I don't doubt that. But will it be worth living?
I remember the shovel. The shovel is essential in speedruns, or was essential in speedruns very, very long time ago. It was apparently very good for going through walls.
The Agrippa Awaken sequence is inspired by the movie 7 when they find the sloth victim. I thought that scene was
Spoilers!
really disturbing, so it stuck to me. When writing the design of the Agrippa event, it came to mind instantly. A fun thing about Agrippa is that it was first supposed to be a severed head that was placed at several locations in the game. It then later turned into the guy that is in the game now. If you wonder why he does not have a lower jaw, then that's because we did not have the resources for voice sync. It was then worked into the story though, as Alexander does not want him talking when he shouldn't.
Like that.
Help me. Who's the switch? Thank you. You have my gratitude. My name is Agrippa. Who might you be? Daniel? Like the prophet thrown into the lion's den? Tell me, are you among the lions, Daniel? You want to stop Alexander? Oh my, so Babylon shall fall, you say? You worry too much. Alexander is toothless without an arm. He has one. That's not very promising at all. The sectum is basically impenetrable, but against the white wall. It could be breached by another, but Alexander broke his, my oath, a long time ago. Really? Then if you tell the truth, by all means, seek out the pieces of the broken oath and mend away. I believe he uses them for torture now. They practically leak madness, which is quite useful, I understand. There should be 6 of them. Look around the choir and the transept. You should be able to find them there.
Oh. Rude. Yeah, I do enjoy the little fact that...
I hate to bother you further, but
Never mind.
if you're really going after Alexander, would you consider taking me with you? I know it sounds ridiculous. Look at it. But if you find anything concerning a man named Johann Reich, would you please bring it to me? I believe he was working on a way to help me. A recipe for some sort of potion, a tonic to free me from this husk of mine.
Yes, I enjoy the fact that he doesn't have a jaw because it was cheaper.
To me, I'm Heinrich Cornelius Agrippa. I was once quite important, you know. Baron Alexander has sustained my soul in this dead husk for years. Who knows how many? Hundreds, I presume.
If you tell me what year you...
Alexander is quite impressive in many ways, but he has grown impatient.
How long have you been here? Tell me a year, I can do the math.
I told Thomas that I wanted a character that the player could look at, or at least know that someone was talking to him right now, as in no flashbacks, no ghosts, or memories. Just something solid the player could depend on being real. However, a character is really expensive stuff. You need a voice, a model, textures, animations, behavior. So we finally came up with this idea about a stationary character so we could cut down on animations and behavior. At this time, Agrippa was just a character, a real historical character actually, I had used as the writer for a letter found in the first stages of the game. But we upgraded him and made him a part of the plot. The reason I find him so valuable is that he joined the ranks of Daniel and Alexander, making this so much more complex and intriguing. And of course, it also quite naturally led to the split ending thing.
We upgraded this real character for our video game. Does it say where these go? Guess not. And I have no recollection of this area.
Back on the level editing, it was an interesting experience to say the least. I started with the room with the door leading to level 22 and made my way up from there. I managed to build a reasonable base in a bit over a week's time. It took a bit long, having into account that not all models needed for the level were available at the time I started working on it, and that, blaming my inexperience in level building, I had to remake some parts a lot of times, like the room I started with. It was Marcus who took the level from where I left it, and I must say he did an awesome job. I'm not sure how much of my original work still stands in there, but the final version looks really sweet. I didn't get more level creation assignments after this one, possibly because I am actually more productive in other kinds of tasks, but I am happy I had the chance to try.
Expecting to find at least like tinder boxes. Why would there be tinderboxes in here? No reason whatsoever. But there we are. Calm down, Daniel.
I know this. I've been here already. I know this taste. A taste of Damascus rose obfuscating the truth in a dim haze. They may sweep the traces from my memory, but my body remembers. These cuts speak volumes, even though my mind remains silent. They will be back. They will be back.
Meat. Slab of fresh meat. So, did I ever use the wooden crank on anything? I don't think I did. What if I had missed it? Is that important for something? Can't be. Oh, I know exactly what it's for. You use this with the meat, don't you?
In this level, it is easily done to not see the whole level. If you have all the ore pieces when coming here, you will get captured at the start and will not get a chance to see the rest of the level. There is a whole area to the east consisting of 2 very detailed rooms, so if you end up being captured on your first visit, make sure to come visit again.
I thought the capture was mandatory. Like, it's... Well, I will be captured.
Find her!
I'm fairly sure I will be captured. Also, I think interestingly, much earlier on, the dev commentary said that in the prison section, they weren't afraid of overusing this enemy type that was just walking over there. Because it was the last time that enemy type would get used. Lies! Might actually come here, which is concerning. Oh yeah. Oh shit! I did not expect that. Yeah, fuck up that door. can't look at it. I don't think it has spotted me.
Just a little further.
It's like Morpheus descending into the underworld.
Are you hiding something?
What do you mean?
Never mind. Your intuition is remarkable.
I'm not sure I'm following.
It doesn't matter. It's just a myth after all.
Yep. Okay. All is lost. I must once again start over. Ever since I recovered the orb firstborn by Agrippa, I have depended on it for my research. The incident with Wilhelm made me most impetuous? I don't know that word. Fearing a paucity of prisoners. I don't know that word either. Shit, I'm stupid. I proceeded with the final ritual without proper foresight. The orb cracked and fell into 6 parts. I have tried everything, but have yet to mend the thing. Unless I can think of a way to piece it together, I will have to find another. There is still life in the pieces, and even if the orb isn't restored, I might be able to salvage some of its power for some other purpose. Centuries have passed in vain, and I begin to wonder if I will ever be able to see my love again. How much longer can I sustain my life? Right. Anything actually in here before that monster comes back? Man, I have no recollection of any of this. I guess this is all optional, just in case you happen to want to explore. Here's a place. Feeling a tiny bit of regret closing that door. This is my good hiding place over here, and I can't see anything. Except a cockroach on my screen. Man, I want to listen to that, that thing. I don't know if there's an enemy, like, right there.
The Torture Chancel was an interesting level. It made a clear break from all the claustrophobic tunnels that make up the majority of our levels. It also presented a challenge, since we had to fill that space with interesting pieces, and still be able to run it on older computers. The idea of the level is to give the player a sense of what is to come, and to give them a feeling that maybe all this was here, even before Alexander built his castle. As a contrast to the mystic shrines, we have an electric barrier in the back of the level. The idea and design of this bit is an homage to the movie Event Horizon.
Interesting. I found the enemy. I will not close the door. I've learned from my mistake.
12th of August, 1839. Banishment ritual is taking longer than expected, and we have to do what is needed. I spend my time helping out the prisoners. Being around these degenerates makes me ill. None of them even tries to face their punishment with any kind of dignity. They taunt me with their lies of innocence and their cowardly pleas of mercy. What can make a man fall so far from the grace of a civilized existence? They are all wicked men, and I remind myself of it constantly. Still, I am thankful for God sending these monsters our way, as they will serve as the instruments of my salvation. I try to study the different tools in the torture chamber and learn how to use them effectively. Last time was messy, and the effect suffered from my inexperience. When the next warding is to be performed, I shall be ready.
Good guy, Daniel. Bucket of tar. I believe a tar was used to attempt to mend the orb at one point. But it was also said that it ended up not being needed. I don't think I have anything I could use. The enemy's still back there. I think that's him. Binoculars would be nice. See, like 3 pixels in the corner over there. What have I even gained from coming here? I got the bucket of tar, but that doesn't really help me with anything. And hey, Arbs. Ah, and there's the Event Horizon homage. Yeah, that is directly from Event Horizon. You know what the awkward thing is? I need to get back. All I got was the bucket of tar, which I don't know what to do with. And now the monster is camping the exit. That's a bit mean.
Is this guilt I'm witnessing, Daniel? If so, blame yourself. You started this. You sent me that letter asking for help, and this is how you repay me? How dare you!
I got this small feeling that I'm about to get captured. Wait, what? What the fuck? Okay, making a run for it. What? Where the fuck is the monster? Interesting.
These cells are meant to hold prisoners who are under treatment. The people you send for will end up here. Remember that the confinement itself works as a preamble to the torture, and you should pace yourself. Don't take anyone before they are ready.
Understood.
Sounds from the torture chambers are shuttled in through those pipes in the ceiling. Manage your victims well, and let one prisoner's pain instill terror in his cellmate.
Maybe I'm supposed to come here? And there were those levers all the way up there that I completely ignored. Ah, no, wait, that's not what I was thinking of. There's a well in here somewhere. But that's not it. Okay, well, I missed something important somewhere. Man, look at that speed. Flying down the stairs. Can I get to the laboratory somehow? The door is blocked, but I actually get the feeling that the laboratory is what I need if I want to help Agrippa, which I don't know if I want to. I won't go out of my way to do it.
How are things coming?
Shut up.
What lever? Oh, that one. So many of Alexander's things are breaking down. Look around. Maybe the other room. There are machine parts hidden all over this place. You'll find a way to fix it.
Ah. Was this the hint?
My people. Yes, I do take pride in that. Is it so wrong?
It was a slightly different color.
I found the Mithraean box, but which had not been planted. Do you know Mithraeus? I suppose it doesn't matter. It is an old faith, building temples.
Thanks, Agrippa. Man, playing this makes me want to replay Soma as well. And so often the discussion is that one of these two is Frictional's best game. And those were the big doors, right? And I never agreed with that idea that one of this or Soma was Frictional's best game because Penumbra existed.
Daniel, you have gone too far. I have to stop you. I can't let you proceed any further. I'm sorry, my friend.
But now that I'm playing this, maybe I also am underrating Soma. It's been far less time since I've played Soma and watched people play it.
How are things coming? You got
But
the
maybe,
doors open? Good
maybe
going.
Soma is
I
also
know you
just
could do it.
better than I remember. Yeah, Soma has a lot of good things going for it. In court order of the Black Eagle spew their politics at each other while I sit quietly in place, willfully forgotten. Once in a while, someone will notice me and lose themselves in a silent cover before regaining their senses. They all know I am the one and the same Alexander who helped their fathers and grandfathers to found this great order. I've seen them take their father's places, and they too will grow old and pass away. While I remain the same, aged not by time, but by anguish. Narcosis? Ooh. Don't know what that is. I know there's... Oh, the only thing that actually reminds me of is the No, it's Penumbra Necrologue, which is a mod for Amnesia. That's kind of a sequel to Penumbra, which I haven't played. Because, well, never really felt the need to play that since, in the case of Amnesia, I am more into the atmosphere and stuff, whereas with Penumbra, at least at that point, I was much more into, well, not the story, but the mechanics, I guess. Underwater horror. Okay. Never heard of that one. Penumbra's best gameplay, I'm just curious. Sorry. I don't know, I think the gameplay is pretty much the same in Penumbra and Amnesia. And by Penumbra, I specifically mean Black Plague, because Overture gameplay was kinda jank. I will admit that Penumbra has the weakest story by far. It's like... It kind of reminds me of the Soma story, in the sense that it shits the bed at the end, but Penumbra shits it harder. Penumbra's great puzzle. I mean, I don't think the puzzles in this game have been bad either. In fact, I was thinking, like, they have even been pretty good by survival horror standards. Most of them make sense. They're logical enough. There are some occasional things where you have to question, what am I doing? Such as when I picked up meat. What am I doing with this meat? Why did I pick it up? And I typically prefer it when you are first presented with the puzzle, and after that you start thinking, what do I need to solve this puzzle, rather than picking up items that will at some point maybe be usable in a puzzle. But that's... You can't really avoid occasionally running into items in the wrong order. That's the way it is, unfortunately. Just somehow have to present it in a way that makes it make more sense. And one moment in this game where I think the puzzle kinda dropped the ball, but only if I stop to think about it, was in entrance to the cistern. Because that was at the very beginning of the stream. And it made the layout of the area kind of fall apart. Because you had a random pipe coming from a wall that said oil exhaust or something on it, and oil was leaking out of it. Why is this here? Is this really how you want to get rid of excess oil? Just dump it on the floor? That didn't really make sense, and right next to it was another puzzle where you needed the oil, is you had to use a lever to drop a ladder. Here I'm drawing a ladder in the air. But you would use the lever, and the ladder would fall down, but a pipe was blocking the ladder, like, right there. So you had to use the lever like 3 times, so that the ladder would break the pipe. And the pipe went nowhere. It was just coming out of the wall into mid-air. And who the fuck decided so that you have a ladder blocking a pipe like that. Those two should be mutually exclusive. You can't have that. Makes no sense. Okay. Anyway. Ware taunts me from the other side. I trusted him with my true reason for my efforts, and still he insists on me releasing Agrippa. So I wonder if this is Agrippa's theme playing in the background, or about who knows. As it was previously mentioned that while reading these you get different people's themes playing. I noticed a theme I hadn't heard before, and then it ended. Shit. Ware claims he tries his best to release me from my banishment, but that he needs me to give him Agrippa first so he too can help. If he could guarantee success, I would happily oblige. I'll go with that. But how am I to part from him if my return might be denied? I know what they are capable of. I have seen their deception. Optimism is a most hopeless feeling, but I must retain it. I shall prepare for his release. To release Agrippa without killing him, Ware told me to feed him a tonic made from paralyzer, vitae, and Tampter. The poisonous fungi should work as a paralyzer if I can find the internal gland from some large specimen. I can't pronounce anything today. That place seems to be a fertile ground for this sort. I should then be able to extract its contents with the proper tools. The vitae could be extracted as usual from any agonized human victim's blood. I just need a large amount to distill it properly. Remember to collect this during the next torture session. Tampter, on the other hand, will prove more difficult. I don't think it exists in this world. Simply writing the world with these letters looks wrong. I believe it's a property of the secretion in the water-dwelling Karn? That place thing? I don't know. I will have to address Warrior with this, as he will have to supply me with a host. Also, a properly prepared well should suffice to contain it. Ah, yes. Yes. So, properly prepared well is somewhere nearby, and I need the crank and the piece of meat to throw those into the well, and up from the well comes Tampter. Probably. That was important. Glad I read it. Where does this go? This goes to the place I cannot pronounce today.
Do whatever it takes.
Don't know why it's so difficult today.
Dad, good to see you. Incredible. You found Violet.
Oh.
Was there something else?
Yeah, I found...
Not many orbs are left. They sometimes
You talk too much. I mean, I understand you've had no one to talk to for a long time, but still. Shut up. Ah, there's my well. Logical puzzle. Yes. Yes. We were just talking about puzzles and how they make sense. Here we go. How do I actually lower this? Ah, there we go. Ah, and this is gonna break. Remains. Alright. Nice doing fishing with you. Bone is covered in mucus. And I didn't have to replace this thing. transept. Where shall we go first? Transept or Coir? I don't know if that's how you say it. That's me today. I will give you a vote between transept and Coir while I go to the bathroom. We'll go to whichever. Be right back. Alright. Choir. Is that how you pronounce it, or is that how I'm pronouncing it? Maybe I should just say, whenever I don't know how to say the word, maybe I should just go with the pure Finnish accent. Choir.
Ah, you again. Vi was a brave man, and dared to proceed where I did not. He unearthed a number of cavern temples, and gathered a whole collection of orbs. But, unlike every other finder since the fall of the Misrael faith, he was able to unshackle the heart.
You talk too much.
You and I connect with the orbs. He used them.
Too much lore. Don't ruin the mystery.
Is she dead?
Yeah, I remember one of these areas quite clearly. Actually, I think I remember both of them. Think about it. I don't remember which is which. I remember this room, though. This room is a proper mindfuck. If it works out perfectly.
15th of August, 1839. The blood wards are failing. The shadow beckons, and its cry disarms my actions. Hurry. No time to spare. You have to kill another. Alexander produces a knife. He wants me to cut the flesh. Do it. Save yourself. He is a murderer, Daniel. He is evil. A cold-blooded killer. Hurry. Alexander, you must let me be. I have to concentrate. Paint the man, cut the lines, cut the flesh, watch the blood spill, let it come. Please, I didn't do anything. Paint the man, cut the lines, paint the man, cut the lines. Please, the man cries. Ah, ah. Now you see. I did well. One life for another. You hear me, guardian of the orb? I did all this for you. Now, once more, withdraw your shadow from my domain.
How fucked up am I? Oh, I can't even open the inventory.
Alexander, there isn't much time. I can feel it. We must act swiftly. I will do whatever it takes.
I was expecting a tinderbox. Yeah. These things are a proper mindfuck. I think they can appear and disappear as you look away from them.
For the torture levels, it was not all that fun to make the sounds. It has a nerve-wracking feeling to it, and I can't say that it is completely enjoyable to make entertainment out of such horrible contraptions. This part of the game is not for show and fun. Its purpose is to create an instinctive feel of horror and repulsion to what these devices are capable of. In the vision, as Daniel performs the ritual, the muffled sound of the man on the table is my own voice. I do some exclusive appearances throughout the game. In fact, in open number games I am fairly certain there is a Jens here and there. But nothing prior has been so disturbing to work with as in this vision, when having to tweak the flow and style of the events and at the same time having to hear your own panicking, pleading, muffled voice.
What was that voice? That! Jens has you covered. I really thought these disappeared. Maybe it's on the way back? Anything your own voice? It is kinda horrifying. Yeah, this I remember. This I remember.
What are my intentions, Daniel? Salvation. It used to be yours, but now you only seek misplaced revenge. How do you justify your violence? Is it for the greater good? Are you doing the world a service? It is you who caused all this pain and death. If you had accepted your fate and submitted to the orb when you first discovered it, none of this would have happened. It is curiosity in league with your selfishness that is killing us both.
Perfect timing with a snowplow going past the building, so the entire building rumbled a bit as a low noise passed by.
The inspiration for this level came from the first Silent Hill game, when you run around in the town. I wanted to recreate the feeling of being lost, knowing that dangerous creatures lurked in the fog. I did not really like the map in the Silent Hill games though, as you always had to switch back and forth between it. So in all our games we tried to come up with other ways to help the player navigate. In this level it meant that you should follow the pipes. This was not really apparent to all people though, and that's why there's a little event at the start.
Yes, the event definitely made this apparent. But I also wonder how it works for people who just somehow missed the event, or missed the significance of the event. Well, I suppose they can still just get through the area by, well, wandering around aimlessly. Yeah, this is a really unpleasant area. Hey, if your inspiration is Silent Hill, then I guess success. Oh hey, it's one of the few, I think, unjustified jump scares in this game. Don't think this needed to be here.
It's close now.
Yeah, that's a bit cheap. Ultra stood absolutely still. The casket had been closed, but a faint light made its way inside. A myriad of spikes pointed at him, glittering as they waited for his body to slip just for a moment. He jerked as, and he felt blood tickle down his leg. In pain, his head fell slightly forward. It took him a while to realize his eye had ruptured and become pleasant. So correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think Iron Maidens actually ever existed, or were ever used. So bad lesson in medieval torture techniques. Incorrect. Only in musical form. It is extremely foggy in here. Yeah, I mean, surely they existed. But I think they may have only been made after, well, after they would have been used. I'm gonna go this way. I'll light this as a landmark for myself. Fuck you two.
The wheel is good for keeping your victims still during the procedure. They can be bound around the circumference or simply stretched across, tying limbs to the spokes and rim. All tools are by this point useful, and you may administer the torture in any way you like. But the forte of the wheel is the gaps. When you have decided that the victim shall die, You can smash their limbs with a hammer, making them fold in between the frame.
But they'll die. Too quickly, I mean.
No, don't worry. The human body is much more resilient. They can survive for days until they finally succumb.
But the breaking wheel was, I believe, used. The murderer's limbs were tied to the spokes of the wheel. They turned the wheel slowly, but with intent, so the rope secured around his leg stretched and cracked a bone. He no longer had the strength to scream. The two men looked at each other knowingly and took the hammer and struck the victim's chest in a final act of mercy. You can't see anything. Which I think makes this probably the freakiest place after what is it called? The storage. So that was another place where you couldn't see shit, but here you can't really even turn the lights on. Wow. And yeah, it does feel more dangerous. Can I do this? I can. Wasn't sure how that worked, but apparently like that. Oh, and is this another one of those jump scares? Because this is one of those things that people always remember about this game. The trader did not know what to think of the brass bowl as he was forced to enter it. Only when the heat of fire began to scorch his skin and cook his flesh did he realize it was to be his tomb. His screams of pain echoed inside the brass chamber and traveled through the complex instrument which was the bull's head. Outside, the men could hear the brazen bull bellow. Oh my god, I can't read. Frustrating. Oh, right. The enemy comes in here. That's why people remember the bull. So, must be pointed out how well they tied together the story and the mechanics, or the lore and the mechanics, because they were talking about how, oh, all these pipes are here so that the prisoners can hear their inmates be tortured, and that enhances the vitae. Meanwhile, the pipes are also used to navigate this area. It's a good combination. Oh, I was absolutely gonna ignite it. That was the idea. There we go. That doesn't spawn the enemy. I'm sure that isn't mandatory. If you want to rescue Agrippa, I believe you... I mean, you need this, which is something from another realm. This as a paralyzer, and then you need some vitae from a torture victim. It would be kinda cool, but also kinda unfair and excessive if you had to do that to freak out a torture victim in the other area so you could get better vitae that's good enough to save Agrippa. But that would be kinda stupid. It would be more stupid than it would be cool. Please. I was sure the enemy would show up here. I wonder if this is the better way out. I'm guessing not. Holy shit, he just spawned out of nowhere. He wasn't there when I first looked that direction. I straight up saw him spawn in. Which is kinda not great considering how much fog there is in this area that could cover that. I will run. Alright, that's a freaky as hell area. And the corpses are gone. They're not reappearing, disappointing. Yeah, that was pleasantly unpleasant. Hey again.
Good to see. Looks like you cleaned out the choir. Head for the transit and find the rest of the ore pieces.
Sure. That was the plan. Hey, fire guide. Holy shit, it's Nubist. Come to me with advice? Do not fight Ancient Dragon with fire-based weaponry. I will keep this in mind the next time I play Dark Souls 2. But hey, did you make it past Guardian Dragon at least? Hey, I assumed you would at least be able to complete that run. I saw a bit of it. Knowing that Pseudo did the run with nothing but trash, so I figured, like, you at least have some weaponry. It's gotta be at least a tiny bit better. Oh, you completed it? Okay. Good. Not that bad then. Oh, it was... I see. I didn't realize it was random boss order.
The staircase is inspired by The Haunting, the black and white version. I really love spiral staircases and I find there's something ominous about them. Also worth noting is that torture devices in the level are all real and that things similar to those depicted had happened in real life. Even in present days, for example, strappado is still a common torture method. As discussed in another commentary spot, we tried to take the sub seriously and stay away from just divulging in gore and stuff.
Tried, but we just went to the other area with the Iron Maiden. So we had to go for some inaccurate tropes.
How much more, Baron? How much more am I supposed to withstand? Kill me already! Kill me!
This one. Prepare him.
I mean, isn't the point of a dumb weapon, all bosses, random boss order, to take stupid long time and not be worth it? It's kind of the definition. Still looking forward to somebody finally completing Dark Souls 1 pike running attack only. This looks like something that will push you out of bounds. Expecting a flashback. Or this. There are quite a few things to be said about torture. I had figured that the reaction I would get from victims would be highly individual. Thankfully, this is not the case. The humans all have a very similar approach to dealing with physical pain and the terror of anticipation. I can't stress enough the importance of restraining the victims before proceeding. Even the most timid creature can break out in fits of violence where their strength exceeds their expected prowess. If proper care has been put into breaking the victim, this should not be a problem, but it will also hinder the effect. It will also hinder the effect I am after. Sure. The right steps to take are, therefore, to restrain while the victim is still dazed, proceed by presenting the form of torture you are about to apply, and then to continue with the actual act. The point of presentation is to infuse terror. The human mind is extremely efficient, as it will trigger itself into greater fear simply by imagining it. While applying pain, make sure to avoid massive damage, as it will prove more efficient if the process can be sustained. Also apply the pain in doses, if possible, breaks to let the body settle. If you are whipping or cutting the victim, strike once, wait for the pain to subdue, then strike again. As long as the body suffers, it will continue to produce the vitae and saturate the blood with its properties. Only with careful performance will the victim yield maximum effect. If the victim doesn't behave as expected, it is likely that all will be for naught. Before this happens, feed them the Amnesia drink and try again later. The title drop. Is it you, my love, I miss the most, or is it perhaps myself? I know what I have become, I am not blind. I am a monster to them, a demonic sultan perched on a dark mountaintop. There is little I can do to redeem myself. The Black Eagle fears me, and after Napoleon's defeat, it is only a matter of time before they will demand my head on a platter. I must remove myself from this land. This time I must work. Or it must work. If I can't return home now, I shall perish. Reading is so hard today.
It's kind of fun, or perhaps I should say disturbing, that the methods Alexander describes in the note could almost be used to describe how we do horror. I will let you draw your own conclusions from that.
Ah. What did I even pick up? String. Yeah, the string was on the table in that room. Hello. Oh. Do I want to pick that up yet? It's in a convenient closet, so I think it's gonna spawn an enemy. Yeah, the vase thing was a flashback. The kidnapper sat on her knees with her hands tied behind her back. She felt her hands being lifted and her body followed. Her shoulders gave way to the weight of her own body and cracked loudly. The suspended woman cried hysterically as the men contemplated their next step. I don't know if there's gonna be an enemy, but how about we do it like this? I don't think there's gonna be an enemy. Honestly, I don't think there's gonna be an enemy in this area. I don't remember one. And this sort of open hall would not make for a good enemy encounter, I think.
The cradle is ready.
Good.
You're a man! How can you partake in this?
Is he all right?
He is one of the wicked. Don't pay his lies any attention.
I'm not a bad man! It was an accident!
He set a man on fire.
It wasn't my fault! Why won't anyone listen?
That's horrible.
Of course. We are dealing with monsters here.
No, please! Do anything! Whatever you want! Anything! Do anything! I'm innocent!
The arsonist kept crying as he was slowly lowered on and off the impaler. It didn't take much to break him. They had meant for him to die, but the torture was working beyond their expectation. It wasn't the method, it was the arsonist. he was different from the others. They could make him forget again. How insane am I? Not even. I'm fine. Oh. I thought this was a torture device. Yeah. First they took the chair. Was that body there before? I didn't notice you. Flashback? No flashback. Mr. Light source, yes. The rapist hanged upside down, his ears soiled with blood flooding from his belly. The saw between his legs had lodged itself in the hip and wouldn't move any further. The men stepped back and waited for the victim to drain. That doesn't sound like a torture method. That seems too efficient for torture. That guy is dead. Oh, also, hang on. Ah! Now I'm wondering, maybe there is an enemy over there. Nah, there's not gonna be an enemy. I still feel like this would be a really bad area for an enemy encounter. Oh, and the body's gone.
I see that all the odd pieces you need. I know I have no right to ask anything of you. But if you could find it in your heart to gather the ingredients for Vire's tonic before attempting to mend the ore, there might still be a chance for you to save me. Please, my fate is in your hands.
The question is, how do I make the tonic? It's gonna be the laboratory over here. How do I get into the laboratory? Is it just gonna explode open? Like I'm supposed to break through a wall. Can access it later on. Okay, well, thanks for letting me know, because I would have spent a while just trying to get there, because I thought it was now.
I have no right to ask anything of you. But if you could find it in your heart to gather the ingredients.
Okay, is this when I'm gonna get captured? Surely. I somehow avoided it last time. Thanks to sheer luck and dumb AI. Yeah, that sound is me being captured.
No, don't kill her.
Yep. That's what I remembered. Actually, the first time through
You had me worried.
that area,
Quite frankly, I'm not sure what to do.
was it
with
even
you.
possible to get captured?
I hold no grudge against you, Daniel. We are so very much the same, you and I. Did you really drink from the amnesia mixture? It does explain so much of your behavior. You never did finish what you set out to do. You talked about redemption, how you would face the orb's shadow and save our work and me. I will grant you another chance to redeem yourself. You can wait here and stop the shadow. Thank you, friend.
Okay. Multiple solutions. I don't want to listen to that just yet. Yeah, the yellow cogs are developer commentary. You can enable setting. You can't use that as a platform. Huh. How did I even notice that? That is extremely subtle, and I did not remember it. But I think this corner right here kind of stood out to me. Alright, now we can listen to that.
Escaping the cell has several solutions. In the very first version, there was only one solution to everything. Then by mistake, we had forgotten to remove the hammer item, so obviously testers tried to use it to break down the wall, complaining loudly to us when it did not work. So we added that possibility, and when doing so, all of a sudden the option was there for the player to have a metal bar item as well. So we also added a second solution on how to obtain the key in the pipe. You can use the metal bar to push it out. The original solution is to get the bucket, fill it with water and pour the water down the pipe. There is also a third option for getting out of the cell. Do you know how to do it?
I remembered both the water and the pipe, but I thought you had to do them both. And third way to get out of the cell, I assume somehow related to this hole in here, but... yeah. Alright, figured it out. Big brain. Oh, let's check out that as well, right away.
You'll never see it coming.
The player feedback from Penumbra Overture's chase scenes were that all who completed them on the first try liked them, and those who did not disliked them. So in order to make the upcoming chase scene engaging, the idea was to make it different every time you failed instead of forcing the player to repeat the same thing over and over. So if you have failed it once, we do our best to make you believe that now is the time when the chase will begin. This is true for other parts of the game too, but I think it's most apparent in this section. This hopefully means that however you play the sequence, it ends up being thrilling and not annoying.
Is he referring to the section where the shadow is chasing you and you have a lot of like forks in the road? And my impression of that is that doesn't matter which way you go, the one you choose first is always going to be wrong and the path is gonna collapse. Then you have to backtrack and take the other one. There is little left to say. I write solely to prevent myself from revisiting the memories of the last 2 days. If I am fortunate, I will fall asleep and my time will pass without effort. I have begun to wean myself of my prison. When I first arrived, I felt like I was being buried inside a tomb, but now I feel like the closed walls are... now I feel the closed walls comforting me. As long as I am in here, there is no pain. The walls protect me from the outside. I even laughed earlier as one of my wardens dropped a key down the pipes. It gave me hope for a second, thinking I could escape if only I could somehow reach it from here. In my dreams, Alexander, I am king. In my dreams, I best you and escape your clutches, and return with all the knights of the realm carrying pistols and sabers. My dreams. Also, earlier on, the resources seem to be a bit more sparse, but nowadays, yeah. What? The fuck just happened? You okay? There's the bucket. Let's do this one. Yeah, very naked. I am getting banned. It was nice knowing you guys. This is the wrong path. Yep. Those sort of chase scenes are one of my most common pet peeves that I don't like. It never feels like you are in any sort of danger. But I will say that that one worked better than most. Simply because at the beginning you at least had to clear some rocks. And then just the scripted path breaking in front of you. it was a bit more interactive than most chase sequences like that.
One of my favorite additions to the game was the loading screens, how they was able to mirror and foreshadow the action of the player. Of course, there might not be that many who actually pay attention to these little snippets of text, but there were some really good stuff in there. There is even one character's life you can influence through the game, which is only mentioned in the loading texts, which is Hazel, Daniel's sister, which will either live or have died when she was young, depending on what the player chooses to do in the game. The actions don't correlate, of course, but it is supposed to show that the way the player acts is a part of Daniel's real inescapable behavior. If the player plays Daniel in a caring way, he will have saved his sister from her death when they were younger, and if the player shows no will to help others, she will have died.
Dude, that should have been like the first thing you hear. I haven't been paying attention, but that sounds cool. Why was this not in like one of the first levels? Damn it! Shadows from behind would help. There kinda is. I think I did that too fast for it to really make a difference, but I think the red slime shows up behind you and can catch up to you and do damage to you. But I was too fast and it didn't really make any difference. Dude, no! There was dev commentary there. I wasn't done.
18th of August, 1839. Tonight, we will unlock the power of the orb and ultimately banish the shadow hunting me. I feel it closing in on me and I fear for my life more than ever. Just outside Olstadt lies a small settlement where Zimmerman, a dairy farmer, lives with his wife and 3 children. Took the coach, went there. Our visit was unexpected, and Alexander was able to strike Zimmerman down without alerting the others. As he went to take care of the farmhands, I began to look for the children.
This reminds me of Moondown.
We should have more than enough prisoners to finish the ritual now.
Crying had stopped and now. Okay. That's another reason why I haven't been paying attention to load screens.
One thing which worried me was that the player would feel trapped within the castle in an artificial way, that is, that they would perhaps realize that they are running around these boxed up levels. A good way to disarm this feeling is by adding exterior levels, so I asked Thomas could we show the outside somehow. He already had some ideas, but he figured they would have to be cut eventually because of the costs. So I was really happy to see this making it into game. It just gives you that little reminder of that there is a world out there, which is not only made from references.
Fair enough. I will say that it didn't really do it for me. I didn't feel the need for it, I guess. That's a fair enough point. Ow. Yeah, it's a good feeling to have in horror, but I understand the position, because in order to feel trapped inside, you also need to have a sense of what is outside. So inside doesn't just become the default only position to be in. You need to have that contrast. So I fully understand his point. I guess it's to the game's credit, really, that I didn't feel that it was necessary. Ow. And there's the laboratory. Too harsh design.
In the original design, the player had to make sure to have all of the ingredients for the Agrippa potion before getting captured earlier in the game, or else it would not be possible to complete the potion in the laboratory. After early testing sessions, it was clear that this was way too harsh, as the player can't really escape the capture scene when he has all the 6 ore pieces. Luckily, this level had areas that all suited to add variations to the puzzles from the original ingredient gathering. Depending on what ingredients the player has when coming here, there will be extra objects and areas to interact with to gather the missing ingredients, allowing you to complete the sawing off Agrippa's head puzzle.
Interesting. That's actually very cool and subtle. Something you almost definitely wouldn't notice on a single playthrough without commentary or without doing multiple playthroughs. Very cool. Question is, how do I do this? The bucket is not needed for anything. Complete tonic. This goes there. Eating the gland will not extract the poison. Oh, duh. Stupid. I thought it would have to go under it. There's no hole below it. Oh, yes, there is. Or rather, there is that thing. Oh, there we go. Pointing at the wrong thing. Making meth? Ah, it's not Payday. Wait, you don't... What are you making Payday? I don't even know, because that's only in loud missions, which I don't play. This makes so much sense. Honestly, no, wait, this item would be here regardless, so this is the only way to get this, and it's only this and the fungus that would spawn over here. This is the least logical of the things. At least puzzle-wise. The whole meat puzzle is honestly pretty stupid. Maybe the weakest one in the game. Oh, it is meth in Payday. Okay then.
The castle trembled and I could hear the chancel collapse. The laboratory might be accessible now.
Good news, the laboratory is accessible now. So. Ah, yeah, like right here.
Thank goodness. Now,
How's my health?
pay attention. First, feed me the tonic, and then use the saw to remove my head. As the tonic begins to work, you'll be able to cut off my head without taking my life. Then, take my head and bring it with you. As you enter the gate Alexander is opening in the inner sanctum. What do you mean? Why wouldn't you enter the gate? We can't argue now. You need to act.
Okay.
Quickly, off with the head.
Oh, he's not in my inventory. Oh, I left it there? I thought he just didn't appear as an item. Oh yeah! Oh yeah! It would have sucked to get to the end without him. I mean, it doesn't really matter, but still. Yeah, Agrippa gave me bad instructions. Instructions unclear. Cut off the head and left it there. Enemies over there. I will make a run for it. Ow! I will listen to these.
Sometimes you just can't get completely satisfied with your work. This level is one of those for me. I tested a lot of different versions for how the electric tunnel should sound and for how the orb should explode. In the end, I think it turned out okay, but it was definitely not how I imagined it to begin with. With the tunnel, I tried to have it a bit mechanical, but also with a wooden type of rotating sound, to connect the machinery to the center of the store. The same with the electric barrier. It is very easy to get into too much of a sci-fi mode with a modern electric humming type of noise, so I did my best to keep it like a simple electric malfunction sound. With the orb explosion at the end, or perhaps the implosion of the orb, it was important to have a sound that would work when standing next to it as well as being far away, because the orb can explode when you wreck the machine for the tunnel. With this in mind, it is a very powerful but very damp and dull sound when the orb breaks.
I really like how some of these include stuff like this is how this sound came to be and I'm not satisfied with it. It really makes the commentary seem more sincere when there's a healthy dose of self-critique involved, rather than just praising how everything in the game is perfect.
The energy stream particle system was a pretty fun assignment to work at. After thinking a bit about it, I chose to make it in sections and put them together using the level editor and script, as creating a so big and complex particle system would have taken a lot of time to pull right. This way, I just made the start gathering part that happens right at the barrier passage, a midstream part that is repeated using areas and synchronized using timers in the script so it looks like a single stream, and the end part, when it gets to the orb. Then Thomas added some more details, and this what you can see here is the result of that. I must say I like how it ended up to be.
I could barely hear what he was saying. It is needed. Is it though? previously said that it didn't need this adhesive. Orb does not by itself remove the barrier, something done with the machinery. Oh, fuck me! I was so happy that I didn't have to deal with this enemy. Where is the enemy? Saw it. I know it's here. Smash the orb. Don't think that's what it means. Well, I guess I have to assume that I won't run into the enemy.
Get away! You shouldn't do that!
Well, I'm not seeing it. Why did I throw away the metal pipe I had before? And now the enemy. That's a sound effect. That music definitely indicates an enemy. As did the previous sound effect. Unfortunately, I don't think the enemies make a ton of sound as they're moving around. So I can't really just listen for it like in Thief. Well, it's going to the exact way I need to get to. That's a problem. But it's not a huge problem, I think. wait it out over here until it walks back, and then I'll make a run for it. Unless it comes in here, in which case I am absolutely fucked. I can hide in here. Ooh, almost fell off. I get a feeling that the enemy might have despawned. I can't see it. And correct, the music has stopped. Inner Sanctum. Is this? Ah. Everybody calm down. I want to hear what Jens has to say. Give it a few seconds in case there's a flashback.
From the beginning, this level was more of a mood level, with not much more to do than to explore it, find a diary and then continue on into the final encounter with Alexander. When I started my polish of the level, I felt that as the second last level of the game, it did not really build things up so well. It was too simple for this late part of the game. So at the start of the level, I've added a chase sequence where the Guardian is getting close to you and you have to run in and close the door. It's not a big addition to the level, but it gives that little feeling, I hope, that you are running out of time and that you have to push forward and face Alexander as soon as you can.
Agreed. Good addition. Well done. Same thing to do right there.
August 1839.
It's not fair. I'm not to blame. I've been manipulated by that demon. He played my guilty conscience and duped me into facing the shadow alone. That vile, conspiring man. He expects me to meet my death as he steals power beyond imagination? Alexander, I will kill you for what you have done. If only the shadow had caught me in London or Algeria, I wouldn't have to suffer this humiliation. You made me a murderer. A monster.
And now, I merely await my death. I am too weak to press on. I can hardly stand as my knees fail me. I cannot see as my eyes are dressed in tears. I am as broken as the men I've tortured. If only I could wipe my fear away, as we did with them.
There are a few music clips which include some choir singing words, and I must tell you that these words doesn't mean anything in any language, or at least I didn't intend them to mean anything. I used a sample library which has its own word building function, so you can have a choir sing words. And I just invented words which sounded cool. So don't bother to think what they are singing. That's a waste of time.
Right. Okay, maybe I need to unlight all the candles. I really tease after poking myself. Never mind. I see. No? Can't do anything about those anymore. That would do it. Stand there for a moment. Alright. Then we'll... Ow! Ow! Try to do the ending sequence correctly.
I was wondering if you were going to show up. I see Agrippa convinced you to run some errands. Tell me, is everything nice and clear now? Am I the villain? Good and evil. Such comforting concepts, but hardly applicable. Are you so blind that you see no good in me or evil in Agrippa?
Excuse me.
The main issue with this level was the build-up of the sound and balancing that with the voice of Alexander. I had to make sure that all the sounds and music in the level start out at a really low volume, so that there is a lot of room for them to get louder and for more sounds to play as the time is running short and the portal opens. I also tweaked it so that Alexander's voice is louder at the end than what it is at the beginning, to make sure it is always easy to hear what he has to say. If you listen to the music, you will notice that halfway through the countdown of the portal opening, it changes to a more intense and stressful version. There are also the monoliths rotating in the air that has a deep grinding sound that gets quicker and louder the closer you get to the end.
I mean, it's not his sound. Just overall, I feel like all dialogue, including the commentary, is too low. And hey, his sound is great. Some of the people doing commentary had microphones made out of tin cans, and I couldn't listen to them. Okay, I want the portal to open so I can save Agrippa. What's up? You do look fucked up. I think it's just a matter of waiting, right?
Do you see it?
See ya.
A whole other world.
Oh.
Isn't it beautiful? I can finally return home. But you... no! You fool! You have ruined us!
Oh, I'm still in control.
There he is. Do you see him, Vaya? He deserves so much more. Please, help him. I know you can. Don't worry, Daniel. It will be all right.
Cool. Bit surprising regarding the dev commentary that there was no ending thingy. The final note by the devs was audio balancing was hard. Alright. Yeah, looking at the credits, it seems like a few people did a lot. Like Thomas Grip, who also did a lot of the commentary, was involved in a lot of this. I want to say that he left Frictional not that long ago. Maybe that was before Rebirth. It would make sense. Or maybe I'm making this up. Solid 7 for you? This was a solid 7 for me before I replayed it. I think it's going up. Yeah, I also always said that I like Penumbra more than Amnesia, but now that I've replayed this, I don't think so anymore. This was really good. ODN 314. I assume there's a zip file somewhere in the game folder. I'm gonna look into that. Yeah, that's a really good game. Positively surprised, even though I have played this before and I have watched speedruns. And I'm generally familiar with it. Very cool. Alright. Do a recap on that. On some music. Try to put on some music if it functions. And YouTube is so good. There we go. Alright. Finished. I finished it on normal. Time spent. I'm gonna round it up to 7 hours because I have to restart at one point after playing on hard and noticing that the game doesn't save. Comments. Yeah, the new Amnesia looks interesting. Very interesting. In a positive way. Very strong atmosphere. Great pacing. Acting. Both in terms of scary, safe, and open-ended. You know, what I mean by that is that in general, I felt like it was always mixing things up in a positive way. Because the first area you get into is I don't remember the name of the place, but the entrance hall pub area where you have to go through the wine cellar and some guest room type area, and what is the other one called? Some sort of laboratory. Like that is a nice hub area. And right after that, you get the linear sequence with the water monster for the first time. And at the same time, you have these, like the dev commentary said, like the water monster was supposed to be the intense, scary moment, followed up by a comfortable, safe, whatever hole that was. And the game just kept mixing that up. Like here's a puzzle, here's a scary section. Here's a large hub area, here's a linear sequence. And it worked really well overall. And that's something I definitely want to shout out as well. The dev commentary. Not a lot of games do dev commentary. And at least the way I've played most games, I don't want to have dev commentary on for the first playthrough, so I rarely actually get to hear it. So it's hard to really say if most of it is good, but this one was definitely good. In fact, the only one that I can think of off the top of my head that I have listened to in the recent years is Hitman 3, where dev commentary was was a paid DLC, and it was really bad. It added nothing to the game. This one definitely did. And surprisingly, it didn't even really hurt the atmosphere. I think they generally knew where to place those things. Oh. One thing that really surprised me was the Daniel's notebook or diary that you found pages of. Because that thing really could have just been a Lovecraft short story. Because stylistically it was extremely similar, and also content-wise. And makes me think that it was probably written as a short story in that style, and then just split up across the game. And I like that. I like, or I have started to like Lovecraft's writing style more, now that I've gone through some of his stuff in English. If anybody's thinking of reading it in Finnish, don't bother. It kind of sucks. Translations are not good. Good puzzles, I would say. Not great, but compared to something like Resident Evil, where you just do things for the sake of doing things, I think this one handled them better. Actually, let's add something about the protagonist here. Nice that the character didn't talk outside of flashbacks. I think yesterday we talked a lot about how in Rebirth, for instance, you are often taken away from the game when the character says something that you weren't thinking or wouldn't have said. Whereas here, that only happens in flashbacks, and it makes a lot more sense from an immersion standpoint. Honestly, I have very little bad things to say about this. The one thing that bothered me almost throughout the game was that there were no separate audio sliders, and the dialogue. Yeah. Just allow fine-tuning the audio a bit, add subtitles to the dev commentary. That's my main criticism. Really hard to be critical of this. I am very surprised by how good this turned out to be after all these years. I remembered it being good, but I didn't remember it being this good. Also, side note regarding this over here. I would say that this felt sneaky at times, but I reserved the felt sneaky checkbox for things that feel sneaky throughout the game, and this one felt sneaky. Did I feel sneaky throughout most of the game, actually? Damn, now I need to reconsider this. Did I actually feel sneaky? Because there were a lot of stealth sections. And even in sections where I had a feeling that there was no enemy, I was still behaving very sneakily. Just in case there was an enemy. Shit, I think I need to actually say that it did feel sneaky. And hey, horror and stealth go pretty much hand in hand. How I've always felt, but most of the time you just don't have that much in terms of stealth in a horror game. But I think this one actually did have that. More so than Penumbra. maybe that's also part of the reason why I like it. Because in Penumbra I didn't really get that sort of feeling. But that could also be because I've kind of spoiled Penumbra for myself by speedrunning it so much. Whereas here I wasn't that familiar with all the AI behaviors and scripted sequences. So I had to be more careful with how I moved around. Yeah. I think I'll have to go with a 9. That was really good. Especially since the last few ratings I've given have been, what? I had a good series of games not that long ago with Dungeon Keeper, Sekiro, and Call of Juarez, and I gave all of those an 8. And I think this is better than each of those. Yeah, let's go with that. Cool. That wraps up Amnesia. Don't know what's up next. I have a couple of games that I would like to play, so I'm not gonna randomize a new game. There's a chance I'll do Alan Wake, and there's a chance I'll do Sherlock Holmes The Awakened, which is Sherlock Holmes versus Cthulhu. Because one of them is getting a sequel and the other one is getting a remake this year, so I would like to revisit Alan Wake and play The Awakened for the first time before each of those. And who knows if I just feel like playing something completely different. Or maybe I just won't stream for another month. Rebirth is a Shameful 2. Yep. Juarez. Also, why does it not say I streamed it? I did stream it, thank you very much. There we go. Well, whatever I choose to play next is almost certainly going to be worse than this. So, that's gonna be it for me tonight. So, thank you for watching, have a good night, and see ya later. Bye!